Alrighty, welcome back. We're going to move on to our next session. Our next session is Drew DeJong and Jeremie Knutson out of Ames Middle School.
All right, I guess I'll start. My name is Drew DeJong, and this is Jeremie Knutson. I'll let him kind of introduce himself. He's got a long list of things that he does. Mine isn't as long. So I teach 6th grade literacy in Ames. This is my 4th year doing that. Before that, I taught 4th grade. So a little bit of a transition. So we're here today to kind of talk about something a little different. It's tech-based, but talking about the gamified classroom. Game-based classroom. But before we start with that, Jeremy?
My name is Jeremie Knutson, and I taught 6th grade for 9 years at Ames. Transitioned into a position for 2.5 years as the tech integrationist at our building at Ames Middle School. And then recently, in January, took over as an interim associate principal at the middle school. And so I've worn a lot of different hats, and kind of got started with Drew when I was in that tech integrationist role, and kind of went down the path with him to gamify his classroom. Okay, we're going to start with your dice. And so what I would like for you to do is pick up your dice and roll them. Okay. On a device or a pad of paper or whatever you've got handy, I want you to write the number of words that you see on the dice about motivating kids in your classroom. So you get that number of words, and I want you to write about how you motivate kids in the classroom. Summarize that in the amount of words you've got. You can type on a Google Doc, you can put it on your phone, you can put it down on a sheet of paper, whatever works for you.
Does that have to be sentence format?
It does not. Nope, just jot down how you motivate kids in the classroom.
Kind of while you're doing that, with the whole 2 dice game, it's also, I use this in the language classroom if we're doing summaries, give the kids a couple dice, and then whatever they roll, that they have to create a summary or create a main idea of a nonfiction text using the number of dice that they roll. So.
Okay, 10 seconds. Let you finish up your thoughts. Switch to the other computer, please. Okay, if you would pick up your device and go to www.minty.com. When you get there, you'll enter a code, 838358. You go to www.minty.com, and you're going to use code 838358. And when you get there, there's going to be a question. Write 1 to 2 of the most important words describing how you motivate your students to engage in learning. So I want you to go to the list that you just created, the ideas that you just created, and pick out the ones you think are most motivational for kids. And go ahead and respond. I see a few familiar faces in the room that have already done this little activity. So hopefully you have found it beneficial in your classrooms, or tried it out at least. We'll wrap up those results. And we'll see here, as a few more results are coming in, we've got relationships, differentiation, engaging, relevancy, choice as some of our big ideas here in the room. We'll add this then to our presentation so you have this idea, this list of things that you believe as educators are going to be motivational for your students.
Again, thinking about the classroom, my kids find this kind of neat. Again, I'll stick with this again. Main idea or the topic, what is the topic of that nonfiction text? Obviously, the more you're going to see it, the bigger it's going to get, so you can kind of see the relationships between how those kids are thinking. So,
go back to the other screen. Okay, go ahead and go forward there.
So I was at a presentation a couple years ago, and the presenter posted this question. He said, what do you want your students to remember about your classroom 10 years from now? And that kind of really got me thinking, what am I doing to really motivate my students to want to learn, to want to read? Sixth graders, as you guys all know, sixth, seventh, eighth, I mean, they can be kind of a tough group to, I don't want to read today, or writing's boring, I don't want to write. So Jeremie went to a conference a couple years ago and met Mr. Matera. You want to talk about him?
So went to a conference. It was the day before TIC, where they have presenters that come in for like workshops, and I went to a workshop on gamified learning. This was the first year that I was a tech coach in Ames. Went to the conference and connected with Michael Matera, and really bought in to the things he was talking about motivating his students in the classroom. And my mind started working and trying to think about how can I get a few of our teachers in Ames to try it out and see how it goes. And Drew, knowing that he was one of the more forward-thinking teachers that we have in our building, not afraid to take risks, and we also work very well together, found that it was going to be a good fit for his classroom because he also was looking for a way that he could keep his students engaged and motivated. And so that's where the idea kind of came about. And I think you'll find through some of the things that you see here, kids are going to remember what they did in Drew's classroom. And so now we'll go on forward and share a few of those ideas and how the gamified classroom works.
So before I even started with this, I asked my kids, what do you enjoy about games? And it doesn't have to be video games, board games, things like that. And then I simply posed the question to them, do you enjoy video games or games in general? And this is the response I got. Out of 71, 64 said yes, 7 said no. So then I met with Jeremie again. I'm like, all right, I know there's something about this gamification thing. I was never a gamer. I never had a video game system, so I was like, I don't want to do it.
But I wasn't either.
Yeah, but I mean, data doesn't lie, and sometimes you got to go where your students are. So then I posed this question. I said, if the classroom was kind of set up in a gaming style where you could earn points for assignments, you have a team of classmates to help you earn points, you have your own character to evolve, would that motivate you in class? Again, 53 said yes, 7 said, I don't know, because I don't know what that looks like, and I don't blame them because I didn't either. And only 4 said no. So that got me to really thinking, we started meeting, and I picked up this book.
Actually, I picked it up, and you just took my copy.
I did.
Yeah.
So I had to buy him a new one because I put sticky notes all over it. And Tyler actually just told me, Explore Like a Pirate, they actually have it here in the library to check out. This, and I'm in no way affiliated with this book. I'm going to plug it all day. I don't earn a penny off it, but this book has been my lifeline. Mr. Matera walks you through day one, if you don't know anything about gamifying your classroom, taking it all the way through. So I would highly recommend it. And some of the games and activities we're going to do today come straight from this book, and it's on the slide as well. So I then asked my students, what is it that you like about video or board games? Here's some of the things that they say. I like the story. I love the competition. And my students know, and I tell them from day one, I'm probably one of the most competitive people they will ever meet. I love competition. So looking at some of their quotes there, that got me thinking. And then I started thinking about what is gamification. And then I really started thinking about what it is not. Gamification in your classroom, what it's not is just giving kids extra tokens or extra points. Mr. Matera really kind of pushes that. It's not just giving points, it's about the whole experience. Background stories, and we'll explain a little bit more about that here in a second. If you're ever sitting around on a Wednesday night and you're bored as well, there's a great network of people, and this network has saved me. They've now become some of my closest friends, but every Wednesday, 8 Eastern is our Twitter chat. And it's just an abundance of resources there from all over to kind of help you out.
Don't limit yourself to just the Twitter chat. You can always go into the hashtag and go back and look at some of the old posts there also.
I just kind of like this quote that Michael had, because some people say, well, I teach social studies. It's not possible in my room. Or I teach literacy. And I was like, how is that going to work? Well, I think this kind of sums it up perfectly. Gamification is possible in any classroom. It's all about your creativity and what you can put into it. And what I've learned from the last 3 years as well is that I'm learning from the kids each year. It's changing each year. My game from year 3 looks nothing like it did from year 1. And I've also learned that I tell this straight up, kids, I don't know what I'm doing. I know nothing about games. I'm going to be learning from you. And that's kind of really helped as well. So what Jeremie and I did, we kind of came together and we were like, all right, what's this kind of look like? And we kind of, the first thing you want to do is kind of come up with a theme. We came up with a Troubles in the High Sea kind of theme, like a pirate theme. And to get kids really motivated about that, we created a quick video. And I'll show you that real quick.
So put yourself into a 6th grade classroom. Your teacher turns off the lights and plays this video, and you know nothing about it.
Kind of backing up, obviously I don't start this on the very first day of school, so throughout the first couple weeks, what I do is I start adding clues around the room. I'll say, I'll put the island names up, things like that, and the kids are starting to ask questions. And of course I don't answer them. And the neatest thing is when that video is going on, they're kind of looking around, kind of seeing where they're at, what island they're going to be on. And what I've really found with this approach is I no longer have to ask for assignments from the kids or ask them to finish a task, because if they're being rewarded by gold doubloons for bringing in their assignments and they want their island to outwit and outlast and outplay all the other islands, guess what? They're always constantly going, hey, Tyler, did you get your stuff turned in today? So they're holding each other accountable, which I have found an extreme, weight off my shoulders. I don't have to go track a kid down for something. They're constantly on each other for it. And the neat thing about this as well is it comes, how do I get out of here? There we go, is the leaderboard. So Mr. Matera has put together this leaderboard that has a trillion formulas in it. I don't know how he did it, but it has made my life so easy. So what the kids can then do is, this is actually what I see. So I can put in, how many points an assignment is, so on and so forth. And then what they can see is the leaderboard. So, there's certain days too I say, hey, if you're in the top 5, of the leaderboard today, come up and grab some treats out of the basket or whatever. You have Twix or something like that. And they can see they can see their level. And we'll talk about badges here in a second. Because some kids go, well, so what? I mean, who cares if I have, 453, gold doubloons. So there obviously has to be some sort of motivation for them to want to level up, and that's where our badges come in.
I'm going to pause there and just let you guys have a little bit of conversation time. Just give you 30 seconds to a minute to process. If you want to talk at your tables, that'd be good. If you have questions, we can answer questions about what we've said so far. So we'll just step out of the presentation for a minute, give you a little bit of time to process and think. Take any notes down, ask any questions that you might have. Okay, let's come back together. Were there any pressing questions? Any pressing questions? Yes.
How do you set up your groups for students? Are they differentiated, or the kids get to choose?
That's a good question.
And how do you grade?
Okay, so that's a good question. As far as grouping the students, so at the beginning of the year, what I do is I give them, it's almost like a personality type. Who's more of a leader, who's more of a follower, and are you more of an attack person when you're playing a game, or are you more of, I want to play nice. So what I do is I kind of look at those results and kind of pair them up and just kind of use those results. So, and I can, thanks for bringing that up. I can put that in here as well. So,
What was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
So as far as grade, I mean, they still get a grade. Okay, so if they were doing a spelling worksheet for me, right? Well, obviously they get a grade for that. But then I give them, hey, if you turn that in, you're also going to get 15 XP for that as well. So it's at first, the first year I did it, I was like, well, that's just putting double work on me. I gotta grade two things at once. But it's really not that, because if they turn it in with that spreadsheet, I mean, you guys know with spreadsheets, I mean, clicking and dragging 20 points takes about 2 seconds, And again, if that's the motivation for them to get that turned in, then oh well. So.
What is your number of people per group?
Who's saying that? Oh, sorry.
What is the number of people per group?
So I have I have three class periods, classes of 30, 29, and 28. So, and I have 3 islands, obviously. So, there's good 12, 13 people per group or so.
You didn't make the spreadsheet yourself?
No. That came from Michael Montera, and I have his website down at the bottom in the resources, and it's on there. I think it was like $15 or something like that, but it was the greatest $15 I've ever spent in my life. I mean, it took a lot of the guesswork out for me, and on that spreadsheet as well, there's about 15 other sheets that you can use, but I hit them all. He goes above and beyond. I started babies, small, so there's so much more in that as well. Any other questions? So motivation for the students, badges. So what they can work towards are a bunch of different badges. I tell them how many badges there will be out throughout the year. I tell them what the point value they have to get each badge, but I never tell them what the badge is, because that just adds a little more excitement into it. And if they're like looking at that next badge going, oh, I don't want that, then they may slow them down as well. So a couple examples of badges I have. 6th graders are very forgetful, so they forget to bring things into class. And we're kind of sticklers on tardies, things like that. So I have a badge to go back to your locker if you forget your Chromebook or pencil or whatever it may be. I have badges for they could take 2 minutes of notes during a challenge, whether it be a spelling challenge or whatever it may be. There's badges for taking one with a partner. I've had colleagues say, but, well, if they're taking it with a partner, how are they showing you what they're learning? Well, I'm like, well, if they've shown me up to that point that they can earn that badge, 2 minutes of them taking notes and things like that, it's not going to make or break anything. So,
Just extra motivation for the students. And I will say, we started out creating the badges and coming up with the ideas. Now it's transitioning to the point where the students are starting to make some of their own and coming up with the ideas. And we're taking their feedback and soliciting their feedback. So a couple of student-created ones, I believe.
So we use Google Drawings a lot in our classroom. There's so much you can do with it. I'll show you some more examples here in a little bit. But badge designs is one of the things that they can do on their own. And I'm taking their suggestions now. This was, they said, I want one free homework assignment. I'm like, all right. So someone created that badge. Someone sent this to me, the powder monkey badge. I'm not sure what that does yet. But so again, I'm learning through them and finding out what they want, what motivates them to want to get their stuff done as well. So Google Drawings has been really helpful there. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. We've been sitting long enough, and I like games. So your token that you have, you will need that. And what we are going to do is there's either black, red, green, or blue, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
And we're going to split you up into groups. And we're going to play a little game here, and there will be prizes. So, where did you want them?
Okay.
We'll do, if you have a black token, we'll move you
Come
over
over
here.
to this row.
You won't need any of your stuff.
Nope.
So you'll come back. Black here. And
Red.
Red.
Blue, green.
I heard some people saying yes, they won't have to move. You have the questions.
Do we need
You
to
have
go
the
over?
questions,
Okay.
wherever they are.
Yep. Okay. And then you
I need
have
Since you're in your groups, real quick, give you 30 seconds. I want you to number off and quickly, introduce yourself, say where you're from, what you teach, things like that. Quickly, go.
So we're just gonna have the one person come on. Okay. I'll let you run the game.
Yeah.
I can keep the points.
Yep, cool.
No, there's no gambling here. I'm gonna change this. They're not even gambling. Come on. I go 2 for 4.
All right, it's getting quiet. That means I think we're about ready to go. Here for the next couple minutes, I'm going to share some review games that we do in my class. You can, and we'll have some discussion too on how you could use these in your classroom, but these are some of my students' favorites. And this one was one we just played last week. I got it. This is Stevie, named after Steve Irwin, Stevie the alligator. So here's how this game is going to work. Each group will be asked a question. I just did general trivia, so we'll see what we get for answers here. And what's going to happen is the one person, so if I'm asking, are you guys selecting? If I'm asking you the first question, you guys as a team will answer it. The number one person will come up here, and you will get to choose to put down a tooth. Now, if you correctly put down a tooth and the alligator does not chomp on your hand, you get an extra point. Now, you can keep your 2 points and be done, or you can gamble and go on for 2 teeth. So here's the rows for teeth, here's the rows you get for points. So if you put down 2 teeth, you get 4 points plus your 1, so you get a total of 5. Now, if at any time the alligator clamps on your hand, you takes away all your points. So at some point, you got to stop. Okay? And the next team will have to continue on where the next team left off. Are we good? All right. So, first question. We'll go right here. If they get it wrong, you guys get to steal. Okay? What percent of air is oxygen? Is it 20%, 50%, or 100%? 20%, 50%, or 100%? You have 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, get ready to steal. 1. What's your answer?
Me?
Anyone?
Pick one. We're not sure.
50.
It is not 50%. It is 20%.
Okay.
So, number 1.
So number 1 gets to come up. 1 tooth. 2 teeth. 3 teeth. 4 teeth. Okay, so she stopped at 4 teeth. So we'll go
they got
back to
13.
our leaderboard here. What color? Red. Red gets 13 points.
All right. And you get the question. What chocolate bar is advertised with the slogan, "Lets you work, rest, and play"? It's a chocolate bar.
We're gonna go with Hershey's.
It is not Hershey's. It's got stuff in the middle. Well, it's a chocolate on the outside, and on the inside there's stuff. Answer?
Milky Way.
It is not Milky Way.
Yes.
It is not Payday. Last group.
Take 5.
It's not. It's Mars bar. It's Mars bar. I don't know. I've never heard of them.
Come on, Drew.
Hey, I got these questions out of those Brain Quest things. It was 6th grade. None of my 6th graders knew that, though, either. We're going right here. All right. What type of bird is the main ingredient of squab pie? What type of bird is the main ingredient of squab pie? Anyone ever had squab pie?
Zoom did. Nice.
Pigeon is correct. Pigeon. Who was number 1? All
How
right.
do I reset Stevie?
No. He doesn't get reset.
It doesn't get
So
reset?
she gets it.
We should get extra points because there's already 4.
Yep. You absolutely. Yeah. It does not reset. Oh.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 down. So that's 20. Plus the 1 for answering the question. What color is your team? Blue.
Red? Or green? All right. Here we go. Which planet was named after the Roman goddess of love? I heard it.
Venus.
That is correct. You got 4 left. There's 4 teeth left.
Let's see what happens after the first.
Oh, so sorry. What?
Oh, all right. So they got 0. We're back to you guys. What is the nearest country to the North Pole? The nearest country to the North Pole. I heard the answer. If you were listening really closely, they said it. Answer?
Greenland?
Greenland is correct. All right.
Starting over.
Go. Yes.
Can I keep going?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. One more. One more? Mhm. Can I do one more? Go for it. Should we go?
That's 5.
Yes or no? Come on, you guys. We either go big or go home.
Oh, she went home.
Oh, should have gone home. Tell you what, the looks on the sixth graders when they play this game, it is priceless. All right, here we go. Who said, "I came, I saw, I conquered"? It is Julie Caesar, yes. Contest your luck.
Come on.
All right, we got 2 more questions. What do you call a word having the same sound and spelling as another? Or same sound or spelling as another. That is correct. I had to throw some lit question in there. So there's a perfect example. If you've come up, you can kind of feel the tension on one of the teeth. So we had to come up with a rule. My kids figured that out. I did not. And I said, you put your finger on it, you got to touch it. Because then they start to feel, oh, that one's showing some resistance. So I'm not gonna
wiggly
pick that one.
tooth.
Uh-huh. All right, last question. What do we got for a score here? Oh, blue team? We got 21. All right. So you got to go big or go home here. The title of which Shakespeare play is also the name of a small village? Yep. Yep.
Hamlet.
Yeah, that is correct.
All right. You got to get 7 teeth.
You got to get 7 to win.
What are you guys, green? Okay. Somebody from your team.
Somebody, anybody.
All right. So there's
Where's the
got to be a
winners?
prize for every game. In the gamified classroom, that prize would be levels of XP. So you just earn so many points for your team, and maybe first place team gets 100 points, second place, or it could be based on multipliers of how many total points they have. But thinking about keeping kids engaged in the classroom, if you looked around this room, you listened, you guys were wanting to see did they miss their question so that you'd get the next one coming. So you really kind of get that competitive spirit going in the classroom, and it kept everybody in the room engaged.
We did this the other day in my room. We were talking about text structures. So I had different paragraphs up, and they had to come up and tell me which text structure it was. But then they also had to tell me why, which signal words they used. And so we did that as well. I mean, it's something a little bit to mix it up other than just saying, here's a worksheet, work with your table. What do you got?
Where's the blue
Got some
team?
gold? Where's the blue team? They're
Oh,
back there.
blue team, you win the pot of gold. There you go.
There you go.
Your gold doubloons there.
A couple other review games that come straight out of this book. Oh, yep, sorry, go ahead.
So what do you do when you actually have like 3 kids in one class sometimes that, oh, we're losing, I'm done, and then they start messing around, and it's not fair to those that are frustrated in that group? What's your consequence for that?
We'd have to make up. I haven't run into that. Let's see. Yeah, there's always going to be 1 or 2 kids, that want to ruin it for everyone else. I like to just remove that situation from the room. You know what? Yeah, Billy, if you don't want to participate today, guess what? If it's not only hurting you individually because you wouldn't get your individual points either, but you're hurting your team as well. Again, like I said earlier, the islands have been on each other so much and holding each other accountable so much that I haven't really had that problem or that issue.
So would it just be not doing the activity
activity, so.
Yeah, you wouldn't get to do the activity. Well, you wouldn't get to do the activity, and guess what? Okay, you can do this in a worksheet form. It's either that or this.
So they
I know
have a
which one
choice.
I'd rather do.
You give kids choice. The other thing that we use, we're a developmental design school. You can use things like a tab or a tab out. Okay, you don't want to participate right now, that's fine. You can go sit in the back in the tab chair, be in the room, watch what's going on. If you saw people clapping and cheering and hooting and hollering in the classroom, you're probably going to want to jump back into that eventually, unless you're just having that bad a day. If that's the case, they probably should go and talk to the counselor or, figure out what's going on.
Because,
Yeah.
there's steps that we go too, so I want to.
Absolutely, and everyone's room in here is a little different. Everyone handles situations a little differently. Here are a couple other review games that this is Secret Suitcase. Our kids love to play. Underneath each of the envelopes is a different point value. So I got one person from each team comes up. I ask the question, they ring in. Whoever answers it gets to pick a suitcase, and it could be worth between 0 or 50 points. So that's one they always love to play. This one's called Grudge Ball. I went out and bought a $15 basketball hoop, and kids love that one. They get to answer the question. If they get it right, they can double their points by trying to shoot a ball. If not, then they lose those points as well. And shuffleboard. We use the tokens as well. So however many questions they get right, they get a token for each question, and then they get to shoot for points as well. So thinking about those kind of review games and how you can use those in your classroom, think about that, and you guys can mosey on back to your places as well.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
If people could just gather. If you can just gather the dice and the tokens at your table, we'll come around and pick them up.
Our previous presenters talked a little bit about Padlet, which was a good segue into this. We're actually going to use a Padlet. Thinking about some of those review games and thinking about how we're all lit-based, how we could use a game like Stevie or Shuffleboard or Hidden Suitcase, how you could use those in one of your room. That would be kind of a good idea to kind of reflect on that and throw it into that Padlet. That way, as we look back, we can maybe use each other's ideas and learn from each other. So I have a link right there. If you would click on that, and when you click on, for those that haven't used Padlet, down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little plus sign. It's pink, and if you click on that,
or double-click on the screen, should be able to.
That as well. Maybe write in a few ideas of how you would use a game or games like those in your classroom. Maybe put your name up there so we can contact you if you're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea.
Twitter handle.
Yep.
Be something else to share here.
Give you a couple minutes to kind of do that.
Oh, you should have used. They'll stop moving on you, in theory. All right, Drew. We forgive you.
I blame you.
Probably deserve it.
I love the idea that someone wrote up their vocabulary review. We've used that for that as well. The kids love it. What else we got up here?
Pre-test I like too.
Yep. Iowa assessment review, unit review. keep kids excited about what they're doing, and then it moved on me.
I like lit discussions too. You know, if a student, maybe if a student volunteers to participate, they're rewarded by being able to come up and push a tooth or something for their team.
We're going to go ahead and kind of keep moving here because we have a couple other things that we want to talk about. Side quests. Jeremy, you want to talk about side quests real quick?
Yep. I'll talk a little bit about side quests. Side quests are another component of the game. They're the opportunity for kids to be creative. They're the opportunity for kids to earn extra points for their team.
Not required.
We've got our Landlubbers guidelines. You can only turn in your side quest one time, so you got to make it good. Your side quest must be connected to the current area of study, and your side quest must be submitted for judgment by Captain DeJong by the end of the quarter. So these are kind of ongoing types of projects or projects that would be in a unit. The kids have total flexibility as to what they do. So some examples, we have things like Music Man, where they could record a song about. And so on the side quest, you're not giving them any directions other than Music Man, record a song about our topic. Or promote something interesting, create an infographic. Whatever tool they have, whatever they can use, create an infographic about. And so you'd want to give maybe a half dozen or so different choices of side quest items for a given unit of study. But they need to be very open-ended, and they need to be worth XP that's valuable enough to the students that they're going to do them. So, you know, like if you saw our leaderboard, a lot of the kids were somewhere in the 4,000 range. So you might have a side quest worth 1,000 points if they do a great job on it. So that's the motivation there. It's just kind of an extra benefit. It's not extra credit for the kids in their class, but it's extra XP to support their team.
Well, and I think the question, what happens if you're in 56th place and you're like, oh, well, there's no hope for me to get all the way up there. Well, these side quests are a great way for them to kind of, you know, jump up, be like, hey, you know, I'm on top now. It's an extension of what you're doing. Again, like Jeremy said, they're not required. They're on the side.
So the other thing is I've got a link there at the bottom of that slide that's a list of different side quests, some we've created and some that came out of the Matera book. And so I've got them in blue. The other ones are ones that we created. We certainly can talk to you if you have other questions. But you've got this link to the document at least in the presentation.
A couple of other ways that students can kind of show their learning. I know I haven't shown too much tech-based stuff, but here's some of the things we've been using a lot. Infographics. Here's an example of an infographic that I made just for an example for the students. And so if we don't do reading logs, but if they want to show what they read throughout the week, they can make a quick infographic. And hyperdocs is another thing that we use a lot. And for an example, here's an example that of a hyperdoc that I created today. We've been working on the text structure cause and effect, and I knew I was going to be gone today. So I threw together this quick document with different links on it and stuff for kids to do while I was gone. For example, if we click on this one, we'll see. And it's kind of nice because now I can kind of see what they did today. So here's a document. It's a slideshow, and it's 30 slides of all the same thing. So what they did was they got a little card of a paragraph, and they had to tell me what caused Wendy to help Kyle with his math. Apparently it was that one, and the effect of it as well. And so each kid got a playing card, so they knew exactly what slide would be there. So that eliminates you starting on a slide, someone coming taking over your slide, and you're typing on top of each other. So hyperdocs is another thing that we use a lot of. Here's a couple of links. I use the Noun project a lot. That's where I get all these cool graphics.
You have to be a little bit careful, by the way, with the Noun project because there's a lot of, or at least some, inappropriate things there. So I'll just caution you before you just have kids dive in to
But that's and it was one I
Be
did not
cautious.
know that either. It was another learning experience for me. And then that's when we stopped and talked. Okay, we do a lot with. You want to talk about social or our
Digital citizenship.
citizenship?
We're doing some weekly digital citizenship stuff at our 15-minute homeroom in the morning, and one of the things will be what types of sources we can use in copyright law, and so we'll be providing access to some of these sites to our students during that time. But trying to also teach them about what is a good source and what's not.
Some more. I love social media. We for my classroom, I run my kids run an Instagram account for our classroom. I got the Facebook page, Twitter page, and Snapchat. Snapchat has been huge. I did not use it at all. My kids told me about it, and I said I will not use it. But then they said, Mr. DeJong, you make us try new things. Why don't you try it? And now I'm in love with it. So what we kind of came up with are these book snaps and vocab snaps. So instead of when we do vocab, what they can do is if they see the vocab word in a book, they can snap it to me. Or they'll send me videos of them acting out one of those vocab words. Book snaps. We were talking about Plot Mountain. And so the neat thing, about Snapchat is, you can draw on it and you can kind of underline things as well. Here's a couple examples from some of my students. Cecilia thought that part in her book was, really neat. And this person right here showed me character versus character conflict. We were talking about conflict that day. So it's another way, again, instead of handing in a worksheet, that they can reach out to me and it's quick. And as soon as I see it, I could say, okay, Cecilia sent me a vocab snap and she gets about 10 XP. So
looking at our time, we're going to jump ahead. There's a few other examples. Sacred Writing Time, Mr. Stick. You can learn a little bit about each of those on the slides. Wanted to get to the end here. We know the value of building our community, our online community, and networking with other teachers, educators, professionals. And so we've got some good Twitter follows here that we'd really encourage you to follow. We steal a lot of our resources and our ideas. I mean, it's nothing new, but if you ask the right questions and you build this community, this network, that's where many, many, many of the ideas have come from that we shared with you today. We didn't make them up. We just found them elsewhere.
Adapted them.
Found ways to use them in our classrooms. And again, the book and link. Any final questions as we wrap up here?
I have a question.
Yep.
At the very end of, how do you finalize your point then? I mean, obviously they're working for points all year.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you do?
So at the end of the year, we hand out certificates, and their main goal is to get on my little wall of fame. So I told them, the team at the end, there's a period winner. So in my class 1-2, there's 3 groups in there. There's a winner there, and then there's a winner overall between all of them. So they're working to be the overall winner because they'll be on my wall of fame forever. And I got kids still in 9th grade, coming to check it out. Am I still on the wall? Yes, you're still on the wall. So just that recognition, and they get a little certificate. And again, kids want to win. They are competitive no matter what it is. So they want to be up towards the top. So sometimes it doesn't even need to be much. It's just that recognition.
Do behaviors work themselves out then too?
I believe I haven't, with this whole process and talking about being a community and things like that, I have found that my disciplinary problems have, kind of almost, kind of.
There's a
gone
lot
away.
of positive peer pressure here,
Yeah.
which definitely helps with some of that. Other questions?
Do you see gamification working in just a 6-week course?
It could. My very first couple of years, I did it in semesters. So, and this is my very first year that I've done a year-long one. And at first, the kids were like, well, they're sitting with the same people all the time. So then they had the idea, well, can we sit wherever we want? And then you say island up, and then we go to our island. So I'm like, well, that's not a bad idea. And so that's been working.
I think you can use any length of
yeah.
time for it. If you've got a 6-week period that get it rolled out right away, if you're going to do that, so that you have that motivational factor the entire time. I mean, Drew waited until he got into the beginning of the school year. The first year we did it just for the final quarter of the year. So we rolled it out at that quarter time and did it over that period of time.
Just think about your point value. Don't make a badge attainable for them
Right.
not to get in that short amount of time.
Right.
So, and give them opportunities. Yes, sir.
Are there other teachers doing the same thing in your building? Like
there-
7th and 8th grade, is it followed through?
We have a 7th grade team that's doing a team game where I think 3 of the 4 teachers are on board with that, and so they're actually running it where they have a shared spreadsheet and the students can earn points because they're all in those teams. Now we've restructured a little bit, so I think it's gone back into just the individual classrooms this year because of the restructuring of our 7th grade teams. But we had a whole team of 7th graders that had it out last year. So yeah, other grades have tried it. Still not a ton of teachers on board with it, but I think there's good proof that the kids that go through Drew's classroom that he has are engaged and are really performing well.
A couple of questions I've heard from a few people is like the time it takes to do this. Where do you find the time to set these things up? And then in the classroom, are you more the facilitator, or how does that work as far as your percentage of setting this up versus teaching?
The first year, it kind of took me a little more time because I needed to figure out how I was going to do this. But it honestly has not taken me too much time.
It's a different lesson planning.
Yeah.
You just change the way you approach your lesson planning when you think about the game first as you're going into the lesson plans.
A lot of people get freaked out by the spreadsheet, and it's really not that bad. It's actually made my life easier. I mean, I don't work too much at home, so I use my planning time, and that's pretty much it. So I usually just think about, what's my content? What do I want them to learn? Okay, how can we restructure this a little bit? Like you said, I never think about, okay, I want to play this game, so what content goes with it? I always think about the content first, and how can we rearrange it.
I would say the first 5 or 6 months, because we went to the conference in October, and we didn't start until March probably.
Yeah.
So it took 4 or 5 months of us regularly meeting to just start piecing together the basic framework for the game, come up with a theme. What would it look like if we're on this theme? How are we going to create things that are thematic so that we're always engaged in the game? And I think the first year you used it loosely. Mm-hmm. But have then now that he had that initial framework and structure, can add to it, add more depth to it. So keep in mind, this is year 3 where Drew's at. You don't expect that for year 1, because it does take time to get the initial framework and setup in place.
Sorry, I got 2 more questions. Next one, would you be open to maybe someone visiting your classroom and being able to see it firsthand?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do about late work?
Late work. So, it depends on the assignment. If they've had all week to do it, and I'm like, well, it needs to be in by Friday. If you want, you're going to get a grade too. If it's late, you're going to get docked for that. But if you don't turn it in on time, you're not going to get your XP. So that's kind of their motivation to get it turned in as well. So that's the other thing. I mean, they're not just playing for their game points, and I don't want people to lose sight of that. I mean, they do have a grade. I do have an Infinite Campus grade book that they do get a grade for. So.
We have a restricted list and we have a restricted study hall. So we send those kids, but a lot of times the kids don't do it until the week grades are due, and then do you adjust that?
You would.
That's where.
And this is why, those students were the ones I wanted to reach, right, 3 years ago. And you would be surprised when you're saying you are working together. Not only are your actions affecting you, but they're affecting the rest of your group. You'd be surprised at, in the hallway, I'd hear conversations. Hey, Josh, did you get that done? Spelling is due on Friday. You got to get that done. Almost the peer pressure of it, kind of, some kids, if I'm, telling them get it done, they're like, whatever. But if their peers are doing it, I think you'd be surprised at how.
Well, and you can use that power as the instructor. Keep in mind, this is worth so many points by the end of the week. We need the whole team to turn it in order for you to get the points, and you can generate that peer.
Well, they know I don't give extra credit. So if they want to bump up their grade, well, guess what? You can get up to badge 2, and you can have a spelling challenge with a partner. Is that going to help you? Absolutely. Would you like to take notes on your challenge? Yes. Well, you got to work towards it. I'm not going to just give it to you. So.
Let's say if they have a late assignment, and let's say someone just didn't do it, do you just give that person a 0 then in your grade book? Or 50%? Or
So if they don't turn it in, they don't turn it in, right? Yeah. So then that's their concept.
The grade book and the XP are separate, but you can use the XP as a way to monitor and be able to use that as a reference who has or hasn't turned it in because they don't have points. And so you can use it to facilitate the grade book also to an extent.
We are going to have to move on. If we have questions, we can ask these two
We'll be
after.
here. Yep.
Can we give them a round of applause for presenting?